Is the Scorp 2 gimbal good for a beginner? Well, if you want the short answer, it's yes. But if you want to go ahead and stick around, I'm going to go into some of the details. I'm going to talk about the things that I really like about this gimbal and the things that I don't like, so that perhaps you can go ahead and make yourself a more informed decision and decide if this is something that you want to purchase. When I was looking into getting a gimbal for my camera, I had to keep in mind a couple of different things. First of all, I'm using a Canon R50 with a 10 to 18 millimeter lens. This isn't a very heavy setup, however I do plan on getting something larger and bulkier in the future, so being able to accommodate my future needs was really important to me. When I compared the Scorp 2 to a similar gimbal in a similar price range, such as the DJI RS3, I did find that the load-bearing capabilities of the Scorp 2 were much higher, so that was really important decision. That was a really important factor in me deciding to go with this gimbal. This gimbal is going to be able to hold the vast majority of lenses and bodies that a beginner or intermediate videographer end up putting on it, so keep that in mind. Additionally, the next important thing was the battery life of the gimbal itself. If you look at my previous videos, in fact all of my videos that I've made so far, they are walking videos where I am walking around for an extended period of time and continuously shooting. The very first video that I shot with this gimbal ended up being about an hour and 48 minutes. I was walking through the streets of Philadelphia while it was still sunny out, and by the time I finished it was dark. When my camera battery died, the gimbal still had about 50 to 60% charge on it, and I was using the gimbal quite a bit. I was putting it through the works. And so when I ended up charging it back up to 100%, it only took about 20 or 30 minutes. So you could definitely on a full charge get about four hours of continuous use out of the gimbal. If you plan on using it for the whole day, you should be able to, just take a little bit of a lunch break, charge it back up, and be able to continuously film for about as long as you're really going to need to. Now, the DJI website does advertise that the gimbal will last 13 hours on a full charge. I don't think that's true, and looking through various online forums, that doesn't seem to really fit the bill. We'll see. That might just be completely ideal settings where they're not really moving a whole lot and using the gimbal to its full potential, but keep that in mind. The battery life is pretty good and it does charge really fast. Now, I want to talk about the AI tracking feature, which was one of the biggest things that a lot of other people reviewing this gimbal have talked about. I'm doing videos on my own and I don't have a cameraman, so being able to track myself is a key feature. It's also a big selling point for the gimbal. All the other videos that I've come across really praise the ability of this gimbal to track its subject, but they don't really go into much detail about it. And to be completely honest, I think it kind of sucks. I decided to take it to a couple of different locations, both indoors and outdoors, with different light settings and environmental factors. And I found that it just doesn't really track you for any significant amount of distance. I tried using it outdoors as the sun was getting low. I brought it with me to an indoor rock climbing gym, which I thought would be easy for it, but seemed to really just lock onto my face, and when it loses sight of that, it pretty much just stops working. I looked to see how it would do with me swimming in the water, and that was an excess. The moment I went underwater, it pretty much lost me. I tested it outdoors on a sunny day, which seemed to work the best, but even then I couldn't really get it to work more than 10 feet. At some point I did get it to work for about 20 feet, but that took multiple takes and was a bit of a struggle. I also ran past it at one point to see if it would track me running, and it lost me pretty quickly. Now, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely a cool feature and it does have its uses. It's incredibly easy to set up, but to get it to work is to walk up close to it and give it the OK sign, and that's it. If it loses track, then you can generally just walk right back in front of it and it will pick you back up again. It does perfectly fine with me walking around my kitchen table in good lighting, but it's still limited and disappointing considering it's one of the key selling points. I'm hoping that future generations of this gimbal will improve on that AI tracking feature, or perhaps they'll put out some sort of firmware update. That remains to be seen, but if you are really looking into it for its AI tracking capabilities, remember it is good, but it's not going to be what you expect and could be improved. The app that comes with the device is very intuitive and makes it easy to connect and control. You can change the settings in the buttons and wheels easily for full use. for everything the gimbal has to offer. You really don't need to spend a lot of time to get set up and learning how to use it. Just watch a tutorial on how to balance the camera and get rolling. I'm an idiot and I had no problem getting it up and running. It still has a few features that I'm discovering, but the primary aspects I have mastered already and I was able to get right away. You can see a significant improvement in the quality and stabilization between my first videos, which were handheld, and the videos that I used with the gimbal. I should mention that I was previously using a 18mm to 35mm lens, which does have much more cropping, and I may not have had the stability on my camera set up, but overall the gimbal does really improve the quality of my videos. Additionally, I should point out that I do use a shotgun mic, and the way the camera is kind of structured, I did find that when I get to certain shots, particularly shots where I'm going low to the ground, the gimbal will bump into the microphone, and then that causes the gimbal or the camera to face downward, and then you do have to readjust for that. Again, there are workarounds for it. You just have to get used to using the gimbal, and keep in mind that if you have something like a shotgun mic or a flash, just keep that in mind. So, if you're looking into gimbal and you're not sure if you're looking into getting a gimbal and you're not sure if this is right for you as a beginner or someone who's a bit intermediate, I will tell you that the Scorp 2 is a fantastic choice. Thanks for sticking around, and I hope I was able to shed a little bit more light on this gimbal. I also want to give a big shout out to Chris from No Nonsense Know-How for featuring me in one of his most recent videos. Chris has been a good friend for years and was a huge inspiration for me starting to make YouTube videos. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm not your mom, can't tell you what to do, but I would certainly appreciate it, and I do hope that you enjoy the future content that I put out. For now, have a good one, and we'll see you in the future.